Have you ever wondered what it truly takes to succeed as a case manager? I'm about to share some inside secrets I wish someone had told me before I started this journey. Hi, I'm Caleb, a case manager and author of the book Mastering Case Management, the Ultimate Guide to Case Management. Now, with over 10 years of experience in the field, there's some hard lessons that I learned along the way. Now, whether you're currently a case manager or considering making a change, these 7 tips, these 7 insights could save you a lot of time, stress, and frustration. Let's get into it. Number 1, training is essential but not sufficient. Did you know that in an interesting study done by the Journal of Case Management, they found that 75% of case managers who receive ongoing training and professional development reported significantly improved job performance and client outcomes. Training is essential, but it's not sufficient. And I'll explain why, because I've had several case management jobs over the years. Some organizations, some companies have extensive training programs, some not so much. Now, in the ones that do have the training programs, it's not sufficient, because I remember when I was doing a training program several years ago, we literally went into a classroom and we spent about 3 weeks going through the organization's manual or the standard operating procedure, which is probably like 400 or 500 pages. So we literally went page by page, section by section, trying to explain to us as onboarding what it is to be a part of the company and what it is to be a case manager. However, that information is good, but it's not sufficient for the fact that it doesn't prepare you for when you get out there into the field and you're working with somebody who's, on life support, or somebody that's at risk for homelessness, or somebody that's out on drugs. It doesn't prepare you for that type of stuff, right? But it's good to have, because you go out into the field feeling more prepared as you would if you didn't have any type of preparation. So training is essential, but it's not sufficient, right? So people that don't get any training, they feel less satisfaction. They have higher client dissatisfaction. All of this because they didn't have training or inadequate training. So that's number 1. Number 2, documentation is everything. In a study found by the American Health Management Association, they found that 90% of case managers who maintain accurate and thorough documentation contribute to higher compliance and regulatory standards and improved client outcomes. That's how important it is to ensure you have documentation. Everything you do needs to be documented, because you never know if it can come back to negatively affect you. You might spend more time in your supervisor's office, or, corrective action plans, whatever the case may be. Document, because when it comes down to it, when we're managing these people's lives, it's going to be essentially your word versus their word. If conflict arises, and then, superiors can come back, they can go through your notes, your documentation, and say, okay, on January 6th, Caleb documented X, Y, and Z. We have that noted. And in this profession, what you're going to learn is, if it's not documented, it didn't happen. Whether you did it or not, if it's not documented, you didn't do it. And you can be held accountable for that. Now, there's also some ramifications of not documenting or poor documentation. So here's some of the ramifications of poor documentation. You could put your company at an increased risk of legal issues, service delays, reduced quality of care, and financial penalties. If you don't document within a certain amount of time, the company may be penalized or not compensated for the time and effort for the work that we're putting in. Poor documentation could result in not getting paid on time, or paying back funds that your company or organization was paid due to poor documentation or lack of documentation at all. So you don't want to get into those issues, because it can get really messy. So you always want to make sure you document everything. I'd rather you over document than under document. So over documentation is good. So let's keep that in mind. So that's 2, documentation. Number 3, is emotional resilience. In the field of case management, you need to have emotional resilience. Now, what I found that was interesting is in the Journal of Occupational Health Psychology, they found that case managers with high emotional resilience are 60% more likely to maintain high job performance and client satisfaction, even in stressful situations. So that is extremely important. If you're going to get into this field, you have to have emotional resilience. You have to have thick skin. You can't take anything personal, because in this field, what you'll learn is that we can sometimes be rather punching bags for people, emotional punching bags, right? You'll deal with some, people that feel extremely entitled. You deal with some verbal abuse. I've never had any physical aggression. Most of the time it's just verbal abuse. I had one person call me everything but the child of God, right? So, you deal with that. Let's face it, you're the face of the company, or you're the face of, the county or the state, whatever the case may be. You're that person for them, right? They think you have the power to get things completed, when in actuality, everything goes through a process. Once that process is completed, then and only then can services be rendered or provided to them. But they don't understand that, or they don't, for lack of better words, even care. But they know that they're in a situation or a crisis and they need help now, and they're not getting it. So a lot of times it'll manifest itself verbally. They'll call you names, call you out of your name. Like I said, I had one person call me everything but the child of God, right? But it takes thick skin to be in this field, because you're gonna come across that, maybe not as often, but at some point, the longer you're in this field, you are gonna come across that one person that will push you and test your limits. And you really have to dig deep and find out you have to dig deep and hold on to whatever your why is, why you're doing this, why you're in this industry. You really have to dig down, find it, grab it, and hold on to it during those times, because believe me when I tell you, it will happen. Now, here's some statistics for or the ramifications of having it for somebody that's in this field that has low emotional resilience. You can have issues with increased burnout rate, right? Low client outcomes, higher absenteeism, right? You have people calling out of work, taking sick days. They're not really sick. They're using their personal days. They're just not showing up to work, or they're showing up an hour late, 2 hours late, or they just don't show up at all, or impaired decision making. All of those are just signs of somebody the job is weighing on them. They don't really have that emotional resilience. So in this field as a case manager, you need to have emotional resilience. That's number 3. Number 4 is going to be boundaries are necessary. And the reason why I say boundaries are necessary is because in case management industry, you need to establish professional boundaries. Now, in another study I read was in the Journal of Social Work Practices, case managers who consistently set and maintain professional boundaries are 50% less likely to experience burnout compared to those who struggle with boundary settings, right? And I come across this more times than not. I had a coworker that wasn't necessarily setting boundaries, and it kind of weighed on them and kind of elevates and manifests in burnout, right? Calling out of work, things of that nature. But me, what I always do is I make sure that I establish professional boundaries with me and my clients or individuals, right? I make sure that they know that, hey, I'm here to help you, right? I'm also being compensated to help you. So it's very important that they understand that although I'm here to help you, we're not friends, because 9 times out of 10 in this field, if you weren't getting paid, you probably wouldn't be here. So we're not friends, but we do have a professional relationship, and I do care about my individuals and the clients on my caseload. But it's important that they understand that I'm here to do a job and I'm here to serve you, right? So you have to establish boundaries. Hey guys, we're about halfway through. I know you're excited. I know you want to get back to the action, but I just wanted to mention, if you want to learn more about case management, be sure to click on the link in the description to get access to my ebook, Mastering Case Management. And if you want to support this channel, go ahead and click the link in the description for the merch shop for The Trusted Advocate. It will help this channel out greatly and continue to help me to grow. So thank you so much. Let's get back to the action. Next is the reality of burnout. In a survey conducted by the National Association of Social Workers, they found that 75% of case managers reported experiencing burnout at some point in their career, with 39% indicating they suffer from severe burnout. Now that kind of ties back into the last one with setting boundaries, but burnout is a real thing. You can, whether it's mentally, physically, whatever the case may be, you can experience severe burnout due to the severity of the nature of the work that we do as case managers. So some signs of burnout could be, not showing up for work, showing up late, whether it's an hour late, 2 hours late, 3 hours late, taking off multiple days in a row. Like I've had a coworker that literally probably took at least 1 to 2 days a week for like a year, right? Though that's a sign of burnout, right? So you have to understand that burnout can happen, and what we have to do as case managers is to kind of put a barrier in between us and burnout. And one way we do that is by establishing those boundaries. So number 5 is the reality of burnout. Some of the ramifications of a burnt out case manager would be increased turnover, decreased job satisfaction, people complaining about their jobs. You hear it all the time, right? If you're in the loop or if you're around coworkers, you hear people talking about how much they don't like the job, but they needed to pay their bills, but they're not quite satisfied because of the burnout, right? Psychiatric medications, antidepressants, mood stabilizers, things of that nature, just to kind of help them cope with the job, right? They didn't have it before. They started the job and then they experienced these issues. And then next thing you know, they're in a psychiatrist's office taking these medications to kind of stabilize themselves as they try to stabilize and support the individuals on their caseload. So that's number 5, the reality of burnout. Number 6, self-care is essential. A study published in the Journal of Occupational Health found that case managers who regularly practice self-care are 65% less likely to experience burnout and report a 40% higher job satisfaction compared to those who neglect self-care. In this job as a case manager, self-care is essential. It's non-negotiable. You have to take care of yourself, right? Like I've had managers and supervisors literally take breaks in the middle of the day to go get massages, right? They're doing that self-care, right? You can't be at your best and help serve individuals and clients for your caseload with these, intense situations, maybe in a crisis, if you're not your best, right? You can't give them your best if you're not at your best. So you have to take care of yourself. I don't know what that looks like for you, whether you want to go get a manicure, pedicure, get your hair done, right? Or if you want to go get a massage, go read a book, meditate, read your Bible, whatever the case may be. You have to take time to take care of yourself, right? You have to do self-care. And one thing that I do is at least once a week or once every 2 weeks is I go and get a deep tissue massage, right? That helps make me feel relaxed and ready to deal with the stressors and the challenges that will arise when I get back to the office or when I get back to working with the clients on my caseload. Because like I said, you never know what's going to happen in this role. You have to expect the unexpected, because you could be having a perfect day and then boom, you have people on 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 people go into crisis on your caseload, and then you're just jumping all over the place trying to make sure you're putting out all these fires, making sure everybody's safe and not at risk for harming themselves or others. So you have to make time to take care of yourself. Now, here's some ramifications of not practicing, regular self-care as a case manager. You can have an increased risk of burnout, low quality of client care, higher absenteeism, right? You have the people that's calling out, not showing up, taking days off at least one day off a week, mental health decline, right? Like I mentioned previously, you have some people, they'll have go into like panic attacks. I've seen it happen. Somebody go into a panic attack, or they'll end up on, medications themselves as they're trying to serve these individuals on a caseload. And then the last one is reduced longevity in the profession, right? Like case managers who neglect self-care are 40% more likely to leave the profession within 5 years, citing overwhelming stress and burnout as primary reasons. So if you're going to start this profession and you want to be successful, you have to prioritize self-care. Take care of yourself so that you can take care of others. Number 7, continue to learn. A study from the Journal of Continuing Education in the Health Professions, they found that case managers who engage in regular professional development and continuous learning opportunities are 70% more likely to achieve career advancement and report a higher job satisfaction. So to maintain your sanity and success in this position as a case manager, you have to continually learn. You have to continually train and challenge your mind. You want to continue to read articles, read every piece of paper or literature that your organization or your company has to offer, so that you can familiarize yourself with tools and resources that you can offer and provide to individuals that's on your caseload, so that you can be successful and that they can be successful. You always want to continue to learn, and case managers that don't commit themselves to learning continually, they don't last long, right? They'll do it for a year or 2, and then they just leave, right? They go try something else. So you have to be a continual learner. Now, here's some of the ramifications for, case managers that neglect to learn continually. They experience stagnation in their career growth. Case managers who do not pursue ongoing education and skill development, they're 50% less likely to receive promotions or salary increases, leading to career stagnation. They experience decreased competency, increased risk of professional burnout, lower client satisfaction, right? Lack of ongoing education can result in a 25% decrease in client satisfaction, right? Which means you're having issues with people on your caseload, right? You're not giving them everything that they need to be successful. So it's leading to lower customer or lower client satisfaction. And then last, reduced job security. In a rapidly changing field, case managers who do not engage in continual learning are at a 35% higher risk of job insecurity, as their skills and knowledge may become outdated compared to peers who actively pursue personal development, right? So you want to continue to learn. You want to continue to challenge your mind. Most companies, they have their own training regimen, their own training programs that they require you to take. Maybe you have some sort of case management certification that you have to continue to learn and do trainings annually or biannually to maintain your certifications to practice as a case manager. So if you want to be successful in this field, you have to be a continual learner. So just get that in your mind. You have to be a continual learner. And so that is the last one, number 7. These 7 things are what I wish I knew before becoming a case manager. They have significantly helped shape my career and profession, and can help shape and put you on the right trajectory for yours as well. What about you? What are some things you wish you knew before you started in this field? Let me know down in the comments. Also, for more information and in-depth advice, please check out the ebook that I wrote. Mastering Case Management is a complete in-depth analysis, everything you need to know about being a case manager and things of that nature. But if you want to know, get a little overview of what is a case manager and what it's like, please click on the video right here.